No, no, man, it's the second set of time. Um, so, I'll take you through our podium sitters as well last week, so I'm pretty sure that also wasn't streamed, or I think Mike may have taken you through the action. As to Miles, he's gone flying off into the wall, there's somehow not got damage from that. But last week was a sprint week, and unfortunately I don't think it was streamed, and Ecos Blacks won in the sprint race. Atlas Cove for P2, Great Elmo P3. In the feature race, Ecos Blacks won, Atlas Cove got P2, and Ghost into UK got P3. Currently, I was just in a bit of the dull moment of qualifying where not many cars are out on circuit. We've got I Am Silas though out on track. In that, in my opinion, is a beautiful McLaren livery. It goes up to second sector to 128.2, which is around 5/10 off what Ecos Blacks and it goes into the UK were doing. But just seen a fair few drives slot on track, and I think we have an AlphaTauri who's quite far in the lap, which is Steve, but he's definitely backed off. That's his backed off, so I think we'll stay on board then with I Am Silas. He goes into Copscon, brakes a little bit, so I think he's just trying to get a lap on the board at this point. You'll lose too much time by braking, maybe in the race, but in qualifying, you've got the grip, you may as well push the car to the absolute limit. Quite far up, and effectively my dual shock control is now low, which is just brilliant, so hopefully that doesn't disconnect towards the end of the race. If needs be, I can quickly find a charger, but that is not ideal. And I'm Silas now, just into Stowe, gets turned in, runs all over the exit curve, and yeah, does invalidate the lap, unfortunately, so we'll see what Steve's got in his locker then, coming through the first sector. There's 127.763, he's half a tenth off what goes into the UK was doing, but I'm not sure with Steve, I'm not sure if he's a fan of this track. I know I've seen him have a few good results around here, so hopefully he can continue that form into this race. As I'm not too sure on many of the other drivers. I know Mays is a big fan of this track as well, but yeah, as Steve runs wide on the exit of Cops there and invalidates his lap time again, so I think he should come back into the pits and maybe try get 2 more runs in, but that would be a push. We got Preb just on an out lap. We've got Atlas Copart, who is currently on a lap, and he's a second down off the first sector, so he's definitely backed off. Maybe Janzu's still pushing along in the first sector. I'm not too sure, but I think Ecos Blacks, going through the final corner. I've completely missed this. Now up to the line, he's backed off these times. It's okay, yeah, that's maybe just a bit of timing glitch on my end, but turned in for turn 1 very nicely, clips the apex, gets good drive. His ERS is on you, so he is on a lap this time around. Into turn 3 and through turn 4. A bit cautious there has to be said on the throttle there. Holding it in third gear where realistically you want to be pushing fourth to get the drive down the straight, but he's 2,000ths up on his first sector time, so basically matching what he did last time around, but can he do Luffield even better than in what he has already done? It was very clear in his last lap, doesn't shift into fifth, so he opts to keep it in fourth, which it can work for you, but you have to be very careful as the car can easily just lose control. Now into Cops, what does he do this time? 7th gear, just a tiny little downshift. Oh, and I think he's made a bit of a mistake there, because he had to tap on the brakes mid-corner, which is not going to be ideal. It's going to lose him a lot of time now down the straight, as he's probably had a poor exit now through Maggots, through Beckett's, and now through Chapel. Playing with the throttle a lot, jamming on and off every 2 seconds, which is what you should love to see. And he's a 10th up on his time, but I still think there's a lot more in this lap, especially just through Cops alone. Now heading down the hanger straight and into start. Turned in well. Can he hit? I don't think he's quite far off the apex curve. Ooh, using all the track limits on the exit there. He's just got away with it and clonks that inside curve, which isn't ideal. Hits the second part very nicely, then gets brilliant drive up to line. I think his car may have spun around. No, he's kept it kept it facing the right way and goes a P1 with a 128.1. And we have Janvi, who's backed off. I'm struggling to see at the moment. Steve now trying to get his first lap on the ball in this session, and it's only took him 13 minutes. Second gear, very low under traction. Not the best final chicane. I think he did a 104.4 middle, which puts him P3 with a 128.7. So great lap there. We've got one of the Aston Martin to come to the line of Sygate, who is 4 attempts up after his second set time, and now can he get a better third sector than Black? Very loose on the rear end then, does a 128.212, 4 tenths improvement, but still a tenth off of Ecos Blacks. And now we have a McLaren coming up the lines of I Am Silas, who has done a 1. I'm not too sure, he must have allowed it at that time. Now we've got Janzu coming up to the line. runs wide on the exit of Stone, invalidates, so pulls into the pit lane, and I think that's our qualifying middle runs all done for now. As I think it's a bit too late to start a new lap, but maybe because into the UK is still pushing along. 3,000 down, so it's very consistent in his first sector. Turned in well for car sticks, so I think using much track limits on the exit, so I think there's not pushing to his full potential there. Into Maggots and into Beckett, gets the car nicely turned in, hits the apex beautifully. A little bit off the apex on the exit of Chapel, but it's a good drive. It's a 104.2, 3 tenths off his time, and this is much more competitive to the likes of Blacks and Sygate up ahead. As I think that's just left a couple tenths shy, and he gets the car turning very well. He uses a lot of inside curve, a lot of throttle on the exit. It's a very strong lap time there. I think this will be a 128.3 and will throw him into P3. So gets it turned in nicely for the second part of club, and then down, obviously down the straight then. It's a 28.4, so it's a bit of a disappointing final sector if I'm honest, but Atlas Copa now coming up to the line. No, that's his teammate OWR Pred, who's done a 105.2 in the middle sector, so not as competitive as Black, but can get himself to the top of the midfield. No, remains P10. As, oh jeez, I need a drink of water. Andy Campbell remains out on track. Is he pushing limits, or is he going to point to pits? He's carrying on with the lap, so he's definitely happy, even though it's a 2-minute lap time, which I'm not too sure about. He's setting himself up now for the final run of the qualifying session, even though he is low on fuel. He was improving. I'm so confused with what my deltas are saying. Maybe it's a little bit glitched due to my connection, but Atlas Copa 2 tenths up on his first sector time, but still 3 tenths shy of Ghost into the UK set at the purple first sector. Now on the exit Chapel, 3 tenths up. It's a competitive time, so I think that by far the fastest middle sector. Unfortunately, he hasn't validated the lap. So now turns in for a start, holds it in 6th gear, and then pulls into the pit, so he's looking for maybe one final run if we've got a Red Bull of Ghost into the UK who will be pulling into the pits. Preb, presumably, is carrying on with his lap, and yes he is. A 104.8, 3 tenths improvement. Strong. How strong is it going to be though? I think he's going to slot himself P7, just behind Mares. And now heading down into Club and Vale, braking hard. 3rd gear, 2nd gear, turns in well for the first part, turning off the second part. Not as much throttle application as quick as you can, but goes P7 as I predicted with a 129.1. And so you've got the McLaren there of Ecos Blacks coming out for his final lap. So Andy Campbell has dropped it on the exit of Stowe, which is very easy to do, surprisingly, in this game. Yeah, his car's facing the wrong way around, so he must have lost the rear tyre. So Miles is also out of the session, but that was in the pit lane. So Garrett Elmo comes up to the line at 128.5. Great lap there from the Belgian, who's been very good all season long, it has to be said. And yeah, not too far off the leaders, but there's still probably some time in that lap for him. And unless Ecos Blacks pulls out an absolute worldie of a lap, I don't think my prediction of a 127.8 is going to be on tonight. Is Maximus on her lap, just coming through the middle set, and on the exit, the first set there, spins the car around, just hit that inside curve which spit the car off and invalidated his lap for good measure. I'm not sure if we have anyone on the lap there. I think Steve's just starting up his final lap, so we'll maybe go on board with him, just then check up on how the others are doing. Just pretty much flat through turn 1 and turn 2, into turn 3, in 3rd gear, and then normally short shift into 4th, but I think he is using auto gears, so the game takes control from 2nd gear on the exit, then just slowly moving through the gears, and as he goes, DRS activated down the main straight. And now into Brooklands, there's very tricky corner to get right at times. Them curbs can spit you off now on the inside if you hit them a little bit too much. Then into Luffield, playing with the throttle, on, off, as you normally expect. It's very difficult, especially this game. I think Silverstone's probably the hardest it's ever been to drive, in my experience, and I've driven just for a few years. As Preb has retired in the pit lanes, Steve all over the track limits on the exit crop. I think this lap is pushing to the limit, so his rear tyres might be screaming by the time he gets through Maggots, through Beckett's, and through Chapel, down to 5th gear. And just straight line to the car as well for acceleration. He's 2 tenths up in his time with a 104.2, which is much more competitive. So I think if he can nail this final sector, he will go P2, and maybe just behind Ecos Blats there. But he's a lot of track limits on the exit, but within the limits. Then for the final chicane, it turned in nicely for the first part. All of the curb in second. Good drive up to the line. I think this is going to be P2. As he goes up to the line, it's a 128.3, and it's only P3 on the grid. As Atlas Corpo now is on a lap. I've completely missed Ecos Black's lap, which I do apologise for. It seems he is DNF'd somewhere. I think he's retired it on the exit of turn 4, which is very strange. Got to keep on board with that Scorpio going through Luffield. Unless Mays is further on the lap, actually. We're going board with him with a 104.2, which is also very competitive. Kenny threw himself in contention with Paul. Must have had a very poor first sector. He's only improving by 2 tenths. Last sector, sorry. And then into Club and Vale brakes. Second gear, I think that is too low. Just not enough minimum speed to be carried. Into fourth, into fifth, and then into sixth, up to the line. Does a 128.4 and throws himself P5 as Atlas Corpo and Kiki are the last ones on a lap, and they are right next to each other on the circuit. So we're going board with Kiki. He's done a 104.3 after the second sector switch, which is pretty strong as he spins on the exit of Sco. So we're going board with Atlas Corpo very quickly, who is on a 104.2 middle sector, 6 tenths up in his time. I think Black's is guaranteed pole position now, but he gets it turned in nicely for the second part of the chicane. Up to the line, into 6th gear. There's a 128.5, which then goes P6. So our qualifying order for today's race is Ecos Blacks P1, Cygate P2, Steve P3, Ghost 72 UK P4, Maze P5, Outscorp P6, Great Elmo P7, Preb P8, Janzu P9, Andy Campbell P10, I am Silas P11, WR Storm P12, Arliss Kiki P13, Maximus P14, De Miles rounding out our 15 drivers for tonight at the back of the grid. So, since we don't have formation lap on, I do have to rush this part, unfortunately. So, I think my podium predictions for today are going to go very boring for the start off with. I think the win is going to be Ecos Blacks. I think P2 is going to be X Maze because he loves a bit of Silverstone. He's pretty quick around here, and I think he's P5 in qualifying, which I think is probably one of his better qualifyings this season. And P3 will go with Go 72 UK. As now we just look, it's beautiful weather. It's a bit surprising for England. We don't normally see sun. We normally see lots and lots of rain, like we saw in TML F1 last night. Sorry, that takes a while to get used to, but yeah. So only 15 drivers on the grid, and I still think we'll see a lot of action and probably a few safety cars, unfortunately. But maybe that can help spice up the race like we saw in real life, which gave some late action and saw one of my favourite drivers, Carlos Sainz, win the race. It wasn't particularly deserved, but he did what he needed to do, so we'll get straight into the action, which starts in 2, 1. Is now they're going to be all lined up on the grid as we see 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red light, 4 red light, 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go. And Cygate, I think, got the better reaction speed there than Ecos Blatson. Is he going to pull alongside into turn 1? I think he's got ahead of him into turn 1, so it's a brilliant start there for Cygate. Ecos Blat's already falling back a little bit, so I'll see what tyres everyone's on very quickly if I'm just going to stop being a muppet. And yeah, Ecos Blat's... oh dear. Ecos Black started on the hard compound tyres, so that's probably why he had a poor start. Steve WG on the medium tyres, Ghost on the hard tyres, Mazer on the medium tyres, then P6 to P8 all on hards, P9 to P10 mediums, P11 hards, and then we've got De Miles and Preb fighting down the back of the field. But if I was these drivers who started in the mediums, I am dependent on an early safety car. The Cygate's already pulled 6 tenths away from Ecos Black, so we've seen Steve just 2 tenths behind our championship leader. Our championship leader seems to have a lot of straight line speed in comparison. We've seen a pass down the back of the field, which is OFR Maximus and Odira Preb into Cops, gets the move done nice and cleanly, which we didn't see in real life last year, unfortunately. Just nice to see 2 cars can go through Cops. unlike what Christian Horner says, but Black's there, runs wide on the exit, and that's going to open the door for Steve to the G. So all of that is burning the ERS, pulls into the slipstreams, we've got to spin down the back of the I am Styles. Steve's he pulling to the inside, he's going to commit to the move, no he's not, but he's going to just hang back at the moment, maybe save some of his tyres, but the reason the medium's that good start on it is that, oh jeez, the tyre warm-up is very difficult around this circuit. So with them pitting onto the cold, hard tyres, it'll take a few laps to get them prepared. So you can get overcut very easily. He's made the pass on goes into the UK, into Club and Vale, so he's moved himself up into people on compounding conventions. Ecos Blacks has ran off the circuit again. So that's probably 2 warnings already for him, as we've seen WR Storm spin down to the back of the field, but CWG trying to pull alongside the championship leader, trying to get the cutback now, gets a decent drive out of the corners, got the ERS on. He's absolutely hound down championship leader. Steve's gone around. Steve has spun around, just too eager on the throttle and overtake, and has lost the car. So, have we seen any of the battle car? I think we've seen Kiki and DeMiles going side by side into Brooklyn. Kiki tried to hold it around the outside, but them hard tyres just aren't fully up to temperature just yet, as DeMiles makes a brilliant move there down the inside of Brooklyn's, as we've seen more spinners potentially down backfield. Yeah, we've seen an Aston Martin. Yeah, OFR Maximus span down to backfield, so it's our 4th spinner of the race so far, and we caught a massive snap there, but due to that spin we've got quite a large field spread, as Ecos Blacks has already closed in the gap, as Steve has spun again on the exit of Luffield, just pushing too much on them warm medium tyres, yeah, as Silas fixed our first 3-second pad penalty of the night, but yeah, we've got a second pretty much gap between every drive up until P6, excluding the top 2, which doesn't make for great racing, but hopefully the race will spice up later on. But Ecos Blacks there, if he can just stick this close to Sygate, I think that'll be success. He's the fastest lap of the race, but Mays goes even quicker. So it's a 132.225, as DRS is now enabled, as Preb has made the move on Kiki into turn 1, so I'm assuming Kiki's had a bit of an overstay moment, but we're not seeing much action, if I'm honest, and I'm missing the majority of it because I'm a bit of a muppet. So we'll go with the closest drivers here, which is Atlas Copart on the back of Great Elmo. He has Andy Campbell very close in behind, so he can't sit behind for too long, otherwise he's going to get passed by the Williams driver. As we're just seeing the gaps remain quite large throughout the field. So hopefully this isn't going to be much of a boring race, and it's going to spice up very soon, but Atlas Copart may want to get past Great Elmo quickly. He's losing touch to the likes of Ghost into the UK up ahead quite quickly. Yeah, Andy Campbell just sitting 3 tenths behind, so there's a lot of pace there. So Miles picks up a 3-second time penalty. I was kicking. Now he's all over the back of RWR Preb, trying to repass him as Preb goes very deep into the corner. That gives Kiki a brilliant run. DRS enabled in the slipstream, overtake enabled. That's an easy move there for Kiki, moves himself up into the top 10. As we've seen no other action throughout the field, as we're just seeing now Ecos Blacks pull away from Mays just due to the DRS, unfortunately. Once you fall out of DRS, it's very hard to get back in, as DeMiles now just 5 tenths behind Janzi. And now it's only 2 tenths for DeMiles, so it's very eager, as I think. I thought Janzi was on the hard tyres, but no, he is on the medium tyres as well, so. Oh! DeMiles has gone broke on the curb, lost the rear of the car, and has spun just once again. Just a little bit too eager to get the moves done. As we've seen, Sygate has dropped Ecos Blacks. They're within 4 tenths on the exit of Stowe, and now it's 1.3. So I'm guessing Ecos Blacks has had a bit of a moment. As Ghost into UK also now closes back in on X Maze. So the mediums don't last long around here. So I think in probably around lap 8 we're going to see the medium runners start to lose a lot of pace and maybe hit around lap 10 or 11 for the hard tyres. As Atlas Copart, I really do apologise. This has made the move on Great Elmo. I'm not sure when, but Great Elmo now dropping a little bit, quite far back, 8 tenths. And Andy Campbell just sitting 3 tenths behind, very eager to make the move. On the medium tyres, and I do apologise. I've not been home for long today. I'm very tired, so just have to push our way through. Ghost pushes right onto the back there of Mays. As we've seen Mays losing a lot of time now to Blacks, but Blacks not gaining much to Sygate, so I think Mays is struggling in the straight line speed department. Oh my days, as we've seen Kiki makes a move on Jazzy around the outside of Clumpel's brilliant overtake. Breaks much deeper as Black sets the fastest lap of the race. They 132 dead. As we go to the closest spot on the track, which is goes into the UK and Mays, and we've seen a yellow flag, and that is DeMiles, I think, who's span at the back of the field. He's going to fall behind I Am Silas, but probably stay ahead of TML Steve. As goes into the UK now, enables DRS. He doesn't seem to be pushing on the battery. Maybe he's confident he can do it just on straight line speed alone, but no, he cannot. We're going to close by around a tenth here, but but Mays is still losing a ton of time to Ecos Blacks up ahead. And Ecos Blacks isn't gaining much on side gear, but he's just crawled back into DRS now, into DRS range, sorry. And goes into UK through cops, just in the dirty air of Mays, just loses a bit of time. But yeah, another person I think is throwing themselves in contention is Atlas Corpo. He's closed the gap, he's within DRS range now of goes into the UK, and he's also bringing the train of Elmo and Andy Campbell along with him, so Atlas Corpo may want to be careful here, but he's dropped Great Elmo, I think. I can't say 2 sentences that, Yana. This is not great coverage by me, unfortunately, but Atlas Corpo, I think he's got himself in the DRS range here now. Much better exit compared to Gosen to UK, now down the straight. Still 9.5 tenths back, but that straight line speed's doing him well. Got him back within range, but Gosen to UK absolutely hounding Mays, as Mays picked up a 3-second time penalty, which is going to be crucial for his race. And yeah, that's going to be hard to come back from now. Because if a safety car comes out, he's going to have to be careful. He's going to be just losing tons and tons of positions. Goes to get enables DRS, but once again doesn't want to shift up into 8K. He's just happy to sitting behind Mays for now. But would you want to be happy sitting behind Mays? He's currently much slower compared to the likes of Saiga and Ecos Blacks. But no, I do apologise. Ecos Black's now 7 tenths behind. He's used all his battery though. And Saiga has around 30%, Mays has around 40%. So it's all relatively low, but when you're sat behind a car, you do tend to save a lot. So I'm sure Ecos Blacks isn't worrying too much just yet, but he's had to use a lot of his overtake, and he's still using it. So he's definitely not confident that on pace alone, on them hard tyres, he can keep up with Saiga. But then medium tyres are going to be much better later on in the race when they pit, obviously, when Blacks goes on to the mediums. So sitting within 3 tenths means he'll probably make the move a lot easier later on in the race. As he goes into the UK now, right on the back of Mays. As I think the race is getting a bit of a dull moment here. We've not seen any overtakes happening for like a lap. Oh dear. As we got WR Storm and I Am Silas going side by side through the final chicane. Silas tried to get the switch right, goes straight into the back of WR Storm there. It's not the best camera angle, but this is a better camera angle. We've seen DeMiles spin for like the 6th time his lap alone. As I think WR Storm lost the position and tried sending it back down the inside. I Am Silas went for the cutback and Storm stayed ahead, so it's brilliant driving between the two drivers. I only saw a little bit of contact, but that was maybe just due to the fact I Am Silas was carrying a little bit too much speed through the corners to Miles retires in the pit lane, which I'm not sure why you do. It's a 15-man lobby. I know you've spun a few times, but I think you're guaranteed around 6 points minimum. So, personally don't understand it, but yeah, we'll go back up to the likes of Gosling, CK and Mays now. He's sat 1 tenth behind. If he doesn't make the move now into the start, I think he's going to throw any chance the race win away. It's Gosling to the UK, if I'm honest. Use that ERS you've got. I know you don't have much left, but he's using just a little bit, and he's now too far behind to make the move on Mays. But yeah, it's just a bit awkward to be honest. But Ecos Blacks, let's see. Ecos Blacks is now up to 24% ERS. You can save a lot, and I'm missing a battle with OFR Max with an OWR. OFR Max with an OWR Preb as Janzu picks up a 3-second time penalty in P9. Just ran wide on the exit of Star here, and unfortunately mine and Maximus' connection here isn't great. So we do look very jittery as we've seen Demios AI car disappeared, which completely threw me off then, but let's go back up the front of the field, goes into UK. Right, look how close he is. He's practically kissing Mays' gearbox there. Enable that overtake, make the move. I know Mays has got brilliant straight line speed, to be fair. She's pulled away, but it's just... Mays is awfully slow. I know it's difficult for... It's difficult for Ghost, who's Mays' straight line speed. He's got off our Maximus now, making the move on Janzu into Brooklyn's. Nice and easy down the inside. As I said, around lap 8 the medium tyres would fall off. Maximus has finally made the move on the hard tyres on Janzu, who is on the medium compound. As goes into UK, now picks up a 3-second time penalty just round line the exit of Cop. Just kind of caught that on the stream. I wouldn't say that, but Ecos Black's now 3 tenths behind on the exit of Chapel, now 6 tenths. Syget's got brilliant straight line speed as well, it has to be said. But through the corners he is lacking a lot. As Andy Campbell now as Kiki now are having a little battle here. Into start, Kiki gets the move done nice and easy, and Andy Campbell's fallen away from that train ahead of him. I think they were all on hard tyres. We are seeing them in the mediums just lose all the pace just within 9 laps. So yeah, Mays is kind of holding up an entire train, so it's all going the Mays trains. We got a spinner, nice Atlas Carbon. That is very surprising. A driver who rarely ever makes mistakes, just drives his way through the field, has spun on the exit of Club and Vale. So Atlas Carbon down into P9. That's kind of broke up the train Mays was forming. Because we got another spinner, and that's WR Storm. Maybe there was, I'm not sure if there was contact. I don't think so. I'm Tiles looked a little bit too far back for contact, but Ghost into UK maybe burn his tyres out a little bit too much. Be sat too close to Mays for that long, fell back to 7 tenths, but he's already closed the gap just through the corners alone. So you can see how much Mays is struggling. He's gone too much on the... He's gone for too much low downforce, and that's costing him. Helping him keep the cars behind, which obviously you need to do, but look at the gap to the cars in front. It's like, it's a balancing act around Silverstone. You don't want to go too high, but you don't want to go too low. As we're seeing every driver in the midfield up and down up until Atlas Coppa being out of DRS ranges. Arles Kiki now is pushing very hard, which we've seen time and time again, and we've also seen Kiki spinning time and time again, just overdriving the car. So it's a purple middle sector and gets back to within 8 tenths of Great Elmo Ped, so he's trying to sort himself as in contention here for the podium on them hard tyres. So we'll see what tyres everyone's on. I'd expect the medium tyre ones to be pitting maybe next lap, maybe lap 11, just to get the tyre warm up and try to avoid the overcut from the medium runners. But yeah, Sai gets on the medium tyres, they're going to be losing a bit of pace soon. Mays, obviously we're seeing how slow he is at the moment. Goes into UK, just so close, and he's used some of his battery, but he needs to try catch him out through a corner, because Mays is struggling through the corners here, as you can tell. Like, just go on board. It's clear as day to see, just on the straight line, just in a straight line where he pulls away. I don't know why this game can't give us a good camera view, but goes into UK, tries to pull out alongside, but it's still just a little bit too far back. Just a few inches behind, and there's nothing he can do about it. We see now Kiki, 7 tenths behind Great Elmo, as Great Elmo is now teetering on the edge of DRS of Ghost ahead, who is now within a tenth. They're going side by side through cops, and last time we saw a Mercedes and a Red Bull go side by side through cops. One of them was in the wall as Mays holds it around the inside. That is brilliant racing. Mays keeps his foot, flaps the floor, holds it around the outside, and not much Ghost could do about that, but that was brilliant battle in there to see, as we are currently stuck with position changes, but get them removed as soon as possible. And now on the exit, are we going to see any overtakes? Let's say Kiki is very close behind Great Elmo here, and he's using his ERS. He's going for the move, goes into UK, doesn't make the move to start, but Kiki, his teammate, has made the move. Oh, he's throwing the car up the inside. Can we get a bit of an onboard shot here, which is good? Bit jittery there from Great Elmo's. Kiki breaks very deep into the corner, makes the move. That is a phenomenal move there from the Red Bull driver. So now we're going to have to see him push once again to try and get within DRS range. We've seen Preb overtaking Janzu, who goes into the pits on the medium tyres. I said it would be around lap 10, lap 11 we'd see it. There's Maximus. Sets the fastest lap of the race on them old hard tyres, which is a bit strange to see, but goes into the UK once again, bump drafting Mays, but nothing he can do about it. He needs to burn his DRS if he wants to have the chance of making the move, as he's just being too cautious. not using the ERS, gets all very close through the corners. Nothing on the exit, I do apologise. I Am Stars picks up a second 3 second time penalty if I'm not mistaken, as WR Storm picks up his first of the night. So Kiki is currently in a net P3, which would be a brilliant result there for the Britishman, who's had a very tough season. It has to be said, just too many spins, too many crashes out of his control. But if I was Kiki, I'd be getting on the radio to Ghost and just telling him maybe just get out my way a little bit. He's got much more pace. I don't know if Ghost pace has definitely been hampered, yeah, as Ghost pulls to the side there and just lets Kiki straight through, as he has the greater straight line speed advantage. And does Kiki throw up the inside of Maze? No, he doesn't. He's perilously close. As Preb picks up 3-5 as Maze finally pulling into pit lane. So now we get to see what pace the Bulls have here, and can they try close that gap to Blacks and Cygate? And Blacks has been dropped by Cygate, so I'm very confused to see what's happening. Cygate's used all his DRS and Blacks has nearly full battery. But it goes into the UK and Kiki here. It's time for them to show their true face to see if they can drop Great Elmo in behind. As Andy Campbell also comes into the pit lane as ahead of Maze, because he's just pulled into his spots. Now Maze is disconnected from the session. Oh, that's rotten. And his AI's come out behind Andy Campbell, even though he was much further ahead. So unless Maze had some damage that he potentially had to repair, I'm not too sure. But yeah, that's really unfortunate. As we got a spinner on the start finish. Oh. Now, and it's CWG as we got Ecos back 2 tenths behind Cygate. Last lap he was out of the second window, and this lap he's pushing Cygate through the corners, and now he's going to turn the ARS on, and this will be a simple move. Be surprised if Cygate even tried to fight it with the lack of ARS and the lack of tyres. He's staying alongside though. Maybe he throws the carts inside. No, he drops out. But the Red Bull's pace there seems to be pretty strong, or Kiki's does, because he's got very close to dropping his teammate, but DRS is going to bring him straight back into contention. Great Elmo's just chilling around 7 tenths behind as Cygate's picked up a 5-second speeding penalty, so I think that may be the fight for the race winner over. Oh, I'm very tired. But yeah, it's unfortunate to see Maze disconnected from the session as Maximus has to stay on track, obviously, due to his teammate. But Maze now gets back in the session, and he's only a little bit behind Andy Campbell. AI's done a very good job keeping him in contention. But let's see where Cygate comes out in comparison then to Andy Campbell and Maze, because I'd be surprised if the gap isn't well over 10 seconds now, because Maze seems to lose a lot of time in the pit stops. So that's I Am Stars in the back who's not pitting. Yeah, look how much time Maze has lost. He was around 6 or 7 seconds behind. As we got Ghost into UK, overtaking Kiki, and Kiki is spun. Kiki is spun through Brooklyn's as Steve WG picks up a 3-second time penalty, and that's very unfortunate for Kiki. He's not lost too much time, so he could definitely throw himself back into contention later on in the race, but it's just made his job of getting that podium 10 times more difficult. As Storm has now dropped Great Elmo from DRS. As you see Steve WG coming to the pits to replace his front wing, which was damaged on the previous lap. As Atlas Kofa also, after his spin earlier on, he's gained some time back, but not as much as I expected. But the gap from Maze to Cygate is now... Oh, as Maze is spam. Oh dear. It's been a tough race there for Maze. Gone completely wrong with downforce, lost the car, screwed over by pit stops and disconnected as he's spun again for good measure. Hopefully this doesn't bring out the safety car, but I don't think it would. We'll see him get back underway now. Elmo's pushing on to try to get back within DRS range, but nothing doing from at this moment in time. But we have one driver within DRS at the moment, and that is I Am Silas and Andy Campbell. So hopefully we don't see any more spins, because we've seen this entire race just be flipped on its head pretty much. Not really. Well, not for the race win. In the midfield we have. But Kiki now has not particularly gained much on Maximus up ahead. I don't think he has gained anything on Maximus. Maximus actually closing in a little bit on Great Elmo, but I'm Sal's getting a bit of a tank slapper on the exit of a village, I think that's called. I'm not too sure. I think it's like farm village. It's a complete guess if I'm honest, but now he's lost DRS range. So no one is in DRS range, which is just a bit pants, to be honest, as Maximus picks up a 3-second time penalty, and the majority of the field now have 3-second time penalties. Just looking at the field spread on the mini-map in the corner is just very upsetting to see as a commentator. Just no on-track battles, just a bit dull, to be honest. As Ecos Blacks still remains on track, lap 15. It's got a lot of ERS. I would be burning that ERS and be coming in this lap. Getting 10 laps out of 10 or 11 laps out the medium tyres would be good enough. Unless he's maybe trying to spice it up and is going to go for the soft compounder tyres. As he's lost a little bit of time to go, so I think that lap, I'm not too sure. But Arles Kiki now coming into the pit lane. Doesn't have any wing damage, luckily, from that spin, but he's going to go onto the medium tyres. Quick stop there from Red Bull. Obviously, everyone else's is the same. Now let's see where he comes out. I think he'll come out 3 seconds behind Andy Campbell, and that's with having to heat the tyres up. As Andy Campbell, in fact, is now behind I'm Silas, who's just gone defensive into turn one, so maybe he's just come away from something, but Kiki is 3 seconds behind Andy Campbell, so technically I am a genius, if I do say so myself. Andy Campbell getting held up massively by the McLaren is going to go on the ERS, he's going to use that DRS to good effect and try and make the move into Brooklyn. If he sends it, it'll probably be a race-ending dive, but he's keeping calm in the cockpit, just sitting in behind and just waiting. As Ecos Blacks doesn't come into the pit lane, I think he may be going for softs. Goes into UK once again, they're like pretty much matching times at this point, but I've got stuffy noses. Goes into UK now comes into the pit lane, and I think he will gain more on his teammate if I'm fully honest, but now Kiki's 3.6 seconds behind Andy Campbell, but he's relying on Iron Styles holding up Andy Campbell even more. So currently we are still waiting for... I'm not sure how to check, to be honest. There we go. With top 5 to pit, and it'll be the top... No, well, yeah, just the top 5 to pit, and I am Silas and WR Storm. The position changes, they're kind of hard to tell when people have the pit, so we won't look at them just yet. But see where Ghost comes out. He's come out not far behind Cygate, and Cygate does have a 5-second time penalty. Like, it's currently 5 seconds behind. On their medium tyres, that will be gone within 6 laps, I'm guessing. So if you can get them heated up quickly, I think Ghost Entity UK is going to get P2. I've just commented as cursed him, I'm guessing, but Steve WG's had a spin. Yep, Steve WG has had a spin on the exit of Chapel, and now let's through the Haas, the Aston Martin. Not the Ferrari, he's a little bit too far back for now, but Alpha Maximus now all over the back of Great Elmo. It's been a good drive there from Maximus. Charged his way through the field as Ecos Blacks still remains out on the circuit as Great Elmo just pulled into the pit lane. So if they don't pit just yet, I think they may be going for softs, as I think Steve has pulled to the side or span again. Not too sure. No, he's definitely spam. But 3-second time penalty for Kiki, and I think that's the only thing he had going for him now, kind of gone. As he's going to make the move, in fact, on I Am Silas. Down the hanger straight, just uses the ERS and DRS to good to his advantage, and makes the move stick as Steve G has retired, unfortunately, just in the pit lane. As Atlas Copo's and also in the pits, Great Elmo's in the pits, so I think Pred, Maximus and Blacks are all going to be going for the soft compound tyres. I think they've waited too late, if I'm honest, as Kiki sets the fastest lap of the race and is now 1.2 seconds behind Andy Campbell and jumps Atlas Copo, who's just pit. So I think Kiki could still potentially get himself in contention for the podium here, but it's going to be very difficult. I think he's around... No, it's around 8 seconds behind his teammate, who is in P3, so potentially, but very unlikely, as I Am Silas in the pit lane. Yeah, Steve's AI card just pulls that in the middle of the circuit as per usual. Because Blacks now comes into the pits, and now he's left this very late, so he's got to be going for the medium tyres, surely. But why would you wait that long? It's too risky, especially when the person who was ahead of you went pit on lap 11, I think. But yeah, he's going for the medium tyres. I still think he'll win the race, especially if Sai gets time penalty, but just not too sure why he's had to do that, to be honest. But if he comes out ahead, I do look like a right mug, as goes into UK is now just 2 seconds behind Saiga as PP's made the move on Andy Campbell this lap around. Very stuffy as well, if you can tell, but let's see where Saiga comes out. He's miles behind Blacks. He's miles behind Blacks. I'm baffled, if I'm honest, but yeah, Saiga now down. Saiga 4 seconds behind Blacks. No, the overcuts didn't realise it was that good, but Great Elmo 1 second behind Alpha Maximus, who has also jumped Great Elmo in the pit stop phase. It's been a brilliant pit stop phase from Alpha Maximus, and can probably needs to use some of that ERS now to try pull away from Great Elmo. I think just due to that 3-second time penalty he has, but it's been a brilliant drive. I'm not too sure. Right, we're now look where position change. Yeah, Maximus started P14 this race. He's found himself up in P4 and at the moment net P5. It's been a great drive. DP up 7 as well. Our biggest loser, Maze and CWG, unfortunately. But Great Elmo is very close to the back of Opar Maximus here, and so goes into UK to the back of Saiga. I said 5 laps time. It's been 3, I think. So I was a bit off with that prediction, but goes into UK has used a lot of the RS, whereas Saiga still has a lot. It still has a bit more, but yeah, Black's currently 5 seconds clear with nearly a full battery and no time penalty. Unfortunately, I do think this may mean I don't think it's not going to be confirmed, but I do think Black has the title in the bag now. He's got one hand around the title now as Yelagiesen's absence is that a word? I'm not too sure. But goes into UK 3-10 finals. Bit of a weird exit, but gains time and then loses it. Burning the ERS. He doesn't have much of it, but I don't think he's going to be able to make the move this lap around. Or this corner around. I think he'd be pushing him for the hanger straight. Or maybe even just cops alone. Look how close Ghost is getting. We've got offboard, hopefully get a beautiful camera angle for this. Doesn't burn the RS though, so I'm a bit surprising. Just all over the gearbox. With an attempt to get a much better exit on the exit cops, he's going to pull alongside to Magnus Beckett. That would be a very silly move to do. We saw that happen 3 times in TML F1 last night, and we saw 3 spins because of it, because the side-by-side just doesn't work through there. As he now enables DRS is using his battery. I think he's just left it too late again. He's just too far back to make the move. He needed to go for it on the exit cops as Kiki to rub salt in the wound has spun once again, and that allows Atlas Corpo to move through up into P7, and he stays ahead of Jianzu. Bit of harsh wheel spin there, but yeah, goes into UK's all off the back. We've got another spin. That's Andy Campbell in P6 now falling down to the back of the field. So we see Atlas Corpo up into P6 without time penalty here, but very far behind Great Elmo. 12-second gap, he's not going to be benefiting much from that. Maybe a late safety car can bring him right back. Right, my Yorkshire accent coming coming straight out then. But yeah, I think Maximus is much quicker. As we got a spinner. That's WR Storm through in the middle of Maggots and Beckett's just before Chappell's lost the car. Bit of an unusual place to use it. As I am so stupid. Ghost 72 UK has made the move on Tiger, and I've completely missed it on the stream. My days. That was the first bit of action in a while, apart from the spins, and I've missed it. As Storm has spun again, as I'm going to check that and make sure no one's going to make an overtake. Gets going straight away. Does he pull into the pits? Yes, he does. If he retires, I think it's a bit daft. Just put on a set of soft tyres, potentially go for the fastest lap, and you just get him 8 points or so. Then we've got Sygate though, he's not fallen away from Ghost at all, within 5 tenths. Plus he has the ERS advantages. Black's it's the fastest lap of the race, and 130.1. Just moving his way, well, just extending the gap. It was 4 seconds when he came out the pits, now 8.8. As we got Fred down the back of the field with Janzi getting very close. And also Maximus throwing himself into contention here. It's just 6 tenths behind his teammate. I think that'll probably be the better battle to go for. I'll keep an eye out, but it'd be smart to let Maximus through here so he can try and extend the gap to Great Elmo and solidify a P4 or P3 in this case. So I've just realised how much of a brilliant drive this has been from Maximus. I know he started down the back of the field, but his pace has been outstanding. As we got another spin in that his WR Storms, I get a massive hiccup for no reason whatsoever. But yeah, Maximus Sygate pulls the side and lets him through. This is great team from the Aston pairing. So I think they've done that to perfection as well, because I think Sygate kept DRS so he can stay ahead of Great Elmo, but he's too far back to make a move on his teammate. So yeah, it's been a stunning drive. Kiki's out. He's just gone flying into the wall at like 100 miles an hour there, and that will be a safety car. I predicted it. Late safety car, and who's right back in the fight? Atlas Coppa and Great Elmo. But wow, on the exit of Chapel there, just losing the car and it's gone flying into the wall. Also brings back Maeve into the race a bit. It doesn't help out Storm though, as he's just been lapped. So he can't, as Storm spins again. So Maze then has to pass him under the safety car, but Atlas Cope and all these lot coming into the pit, I think it'd be daft for everyone else behind now not to come into the pits. As Storm is the only one who stays out on track, but that is fair enough, but Black has made it past the safety car, so that is going to help him a lot. He's still going to be under Delta, but so is the rest of the field. So I was just on about the brilliant drive from Maximus, and I think that's kind of going to get ruined. I don't think there's going to be the podium anymore. Unless he can pull out 3 seconds on everyone, then fair enough, but yeah, it's just unfortunate timing for some of the drivers, but it's benefited the likes of Maze, Fred, Atlas Coppa. And do we see Black's pit? Yes, we do. And that's not surprising. It's very safe into the pit entry as well. We also see Ghost pull into the pits, and Maximus sped into the pits, and yeah. So as Sygate, so both Astons have just sped into the pits like Muppets, it has to be said. It's under a safety car, you don't need to be pushing the limits that much, and now both of them have an extra 5 seconds, which you can't serve at the moment. You'll have to pit again if you want to serve it. So I think that's their races firmly ruined now. Is anyone staying out on the track? I don't think so, but Atlas Coppa now, net P3. Great Elmo net P2. Andy Campbell net P4 after his last spin. It just shows the positives of not getting time penalties like Black's. If he won the race by 10 seconds without and due to penalties, then it would be like a 18 second gap to Ghost. I'm not sure if Ghost got a speed penalty. I don't think he did. Just double check. No, he did. He only has 3. So it would have been a 13-second gap, but yeah, it's just, unless it's just silly warnings like running wide a little bit, there's no need. But if you're overdriving the car in the race, then it's your own fault. I'm saying this, and I got a penalty last night before I had to leave the lobby, but I think I was still adapting to the conditions because I am not good in the wet whatsoever. As Preb picks up a 3-second time penalty under the safety car. But funnily enough, I also got a warning under safety car last night, so I can't make jokes. And yeah, now we're just at the dull point. Last 3 laps going to be an all-out shootout for the race win. Well, not race win, but the podiums. Simon Silas now gets the 3-second penalty under safety car. So it's a bit unfortunate to see, but we just have to move on with it, I guess. But just need to make sure to save this footage at the end, because if I don't, then yeah, I'm a complete muppet. Yeah. So, normally me and Neymar here, we can waffle a little bit, but has FP1 been on yet? Because I am not too sure, so during this little break, I'll keep an eye, make sure nothing crazy happens. I'm just going to see if anything's happened yet. Oh, I haven't seen started, I'll be honest. FP1, Mexico. Sainz currently is leading the timings, and Leclerc just behind for a 1-2. Apparently it's a very close grid, so do we have hope? No. Do we think Verstappen will win? Yes. He's definitely been a phenomenal driver this season from Verstappen. It's just a shame to see that we've gone for a brilliant title battle to nothing. Oh, as we got wing damage under SC. Alpha Maximus has just gone straight into the back of Ghost into UK. Yeah, and that front end plate's gone, so that's going to be a lot of downforce loss. And I'm not sure, maybe Ghost gets some like rear wing damage from that, I'm not too sure, but Maximus was, I'll be honest, my favourite driver of the day, and yeah, I think that may be gone now. A 5-second speed in under safety car and just drive straight into the back of Ghost. Oh dear. Well, the safety car should be coming in this lap, so we'll have a 2-lap shootout instead of 3, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, we'll just see what the penalties are looking like. So, Ghost has a 3-second penalty, Maximus has an 8-second, Saiget has a 5 seconds, so he must have served his first 5 seconds under his pit stop. The safety car in this lap, Janzu 6 seconds, Preb 6 seconds, Mays 3 seconds, Silas 12 seconds, Storm 3 seconds. As Black's now full throttle in first gear. He needs to be careful when shifting up the air, he is, but he needs to keep a steady speed there. You can't keep accelerating, shifting up, then going full throttle again. It's just a bit dangerous, but I have faith he won't do anything dodgy. Yeah, he's keeping a constant speed there. And now when does he choose to go? Can we get a better angle on this? I don't want to see his front wing. He's gone and he's caught Ghosts. Not lacking, I think just due to like the dirty air, he might pull away a little bit. No, he doesn't. Only 5 tenths back is Storms. We've got any drama going down towards the backfield. We see Andy Campbell. I mean, 2 tenths of Atlas Corbo just didn't seem to react in that restart as we've got a yellow flag, which is Storm, who spun through Cox. And we're back underway, and no action just yet. We'll probably be like a few spinners in 3 seconds time, but yeah. Andy Campbell looks eager to get the move done. Atlas Corpo as Preb has spun, as I predicted 3 seconds later. Drops the backfield. Andy Campbell just too far away to make the move, and Janzu's looking very eager in behind as well, as the gaps Maximus with that damaged wing falling back massively from Ghost, and Great Elmo's falling back massively from Maximus with that broken wing. So I'm not too sure what's going on there then. Maybe Elmo's a little bit of damage because he was very strong. He's been very strong for the majority of the race, but he's still in some wing damages. Goes into UK, picks up a 3-second time penalty. I think that's just rubbed salt in the wound now, as he was close to getting the gap to Elmer. He ain't getting that now. So now Atlas Corpo is more in contention of getting on the podium as well for the final position, but he needs to get a move on if he wants it. He's only got 1 lap. It's a 1.2 second gap to the car. 1.3 now to Saiget up ahead. So currently, Atlas Corpo is in P3, but goes into the UK. He needs 1.8 seconds in Atlas Corp on this lap if he wants it. So he's going to be pushing like no tomorrow. His Ecos Blacks, by the way, just still maintaining the gap. Not putting away as much as I've expected compared to Ghost, but yeah, very odd. But thought he'd have pulled a bit more, but yeah, now Maximus really struggling behind. Great Elmo closing in. I think that's Great Elmo guaranteed P2 if he doesn't spin the car around, as we got a spinner and that's stormed through Cops for the second lap running. As this is the final lap of the race. And there's just nothing really to commentate on at this point. Mays falling back from Janzu. Janzu eager to get through on Andy Campbell. Andy Campbell eager to get through on Atlas Corpo, who's really struggling this restart. 1.5 seconds, 1.9. He's still within range, but it's going to be very touch and go, I think, is the saying. If he just has a little wobble now, that could be it done. As we got a spin in that storm once again. Goes into the UK's run off the track. That's just cost him everything. I think that's gifted Atlas Corpo now. The podium as Maximus closes in, but he's got too many time penalties to even compete, as we're going to go on board with our race winner. Just pure domination. And now through Club and Vale, is it turned in very nicely. We've got a spin and that's Sygate who's now spun on the exit of Stars. We missed that action as we see all the drivers fall through. Blacks wins the British Grand Prix and sets the fastest lap for good measure, and it's not the Grand Slam, but we see Great Elmo P2, Atlas Corpo P3, Andy Campbell P4, goes into the UK P5, Maximus gets P6 in the end somehow, Mays recovers to P7, Janzu P8, Sygate P9, Preb P10, Silas P11, and we wait for Storm, who's just started his lap. So, we've got a long wait now. Just watch him on board, see if he's spun again. Yeah, Storm's having a bit of issues with the car this weekend, it seems, but he's finished at least unlike 3 other drivers, so he still scores points. I think it'll be 8 points for him. No, for them, sorry, which is a great result. Someone who's been struggling quite a bit this season. As Storm now drives straight off the track, showing off to the fans. I'm sure they're just doing this for some laughs at this point, but yeah, he's just trying to keep the car intact. He's not overly pushing, doesn't have any wing damage on the car, so all that I can see anyway. Maximus has left the session, he's had enough already. As Storm's 22 seconds down the second on their second sector split. As he rounds the final corner now, up to the line, and that is the race done. So yeah, 12 finishes out of 15, that's not bad, especially for how some races have gone this season. In-game fans vote Maximus driver today, but personally, it has to go to Ecos Blacks at this point. We'll take you through the final order and then I'm going to get off because I am very tired. So yeah, we see Blacks lifting the trophy for winning the race. Lift up, yes. Just domination, to be honest. And now we'll go through the final order. So Blacks wins the race with the fastest lap of the race. Unfortunately not the Grand Slam, so he didn't lead every lap. Sorry about that. Great Elmo P2, Atlas Corpo P3, Andy Campbell P4, goes into the UK P5, Maximus P6, Mace P7, Janzu P8, Sygate P9, Preb P10, Silas P11, Storm P12, rounding out our finishers tonight. Kiki Udine after bringing out the late safety car in P13, Steve P14 into Miles at P15.